Hey there, Kurtis here from SuperSend. Today I'm going to walk you through how I am doing a workflow that involves three tools. Trigify is one, Clay is another, and then finally SuperSend. So what this flow does is specifically, what we're looking to do is monitor LinkedIn posts from influencers that are in our space. And when those influencers post about something that's like relevant to, like, for example, for us, for SuperSend, or just relevant to your business, what you're sort of creating there is like a social signal, which is what Trigify monitors is social signals. And so the theory here is that, let's say, for example, if somebody in the cold email space, like an influencer, is posting, tips and tricks, and just different things related to cold email, the people that engage with that post are either, maybe they're just interested in the person, like maybe they liked the graphic, but like the theory is like they're probably interested in the topic in general, or else they probably wouldn't be following the person in the first place. And so what you sort of build is like kind of an automated way to start engaging with people that are at least surface level interested in like the topic that maybe you talk about or maybe you serve as a business. And so we'll just go through, this is going to be three separate videos. One is going to be focused on the Trigify piece. The second video will be focused on the Clay piece. And then the third video will probably incorporate like Clay and SuperSend, just because there's some overlap there on how we're leveraging both of those tools together. But let's spend the next, 10, 15 minutes like just getting Trigify set up so you kind of understand what's happening here. So once you've got an account, your account will be fairly blank, but there's two main things you're doing in here. And for this tutorial, like really one thing you're doing. What you're doing is you're looking for influencers in your space that talk about like relevant topics to your business. And so down in this influencer section, you can start to search for people like that talk about things like from a keyword perspective. So like if I type in cold email, just as an example, like these people all are like cold email, like this is their deal, right? Like Will Allred is the founder of Lavender, which is like a literally like an email writing tool. Nick Abraham is a arguably has like one of the largest cold email agencies. They send 2, 3, 4 million cold emails a month. Like he talks about cold email like all day long. And so again, these are just a list of influencers that are sort of within this keyword or talking about this keyword, and you can go crazy with this, and the goal here is like search for people that are talking about like your thing, right? Whatever your business is. Once you find said people, then you can start to monitor them. And so you can start to save them to like lists, like add to profile engagement, for example. And I won't do this, but I'll show you what the outcome is. So if I do this here, you'll then start building a list. I'm sorry, not a list, profile engagement. You'll start seeing lists within these sort of engagement groups. So as an example, I've got a list labeled thought leaders, and these, for example, are just kind of people that I follow that are in our space across various topics, but they are topics, they talk about topics that like matter to me. And so a really, really good one to watch for me, like a great example is Michel Liban. He runs a cold email agency that's, again, very, very successful. He's constantly talking about tips and tricks on like how to set up cold email stacks, like what tools to use. And he gets lots and lots of engagement. He has like literally thousands of followers, and he's always talking about topics that are related to SuperSend. And so these are, people essentially. If I look at when I clicked into the thought leader portion here, what I'm looking at on the right is two different things. It's the same thing in two different views. The view that I'm in now is just literally like every single LinkedIn profile that is engaged with this post. And so keep in mind, like this is all related to LinkedIn specifically. I think Trigify is going to be opening up Reddit and some other channels soon, but for now it's just LinkedIn. So I'm looking at all leads or all potential leads that engage with his posts, and then you could look at it in a different view, which this will come into play a little bit later in the video or in the next video. But this is the same sort of setup, but now we're just looking at like specifically his LinkedIn posts. Like for example, this is a LinkedIn post. So if I open this screen, it'll take me to like this exact post. And, you know, again, what we're looking at here is all the people that commented, all the people that liked are down here in this list, right? So you could see like these are people that are all commenting. And again, the theory here is these people are probably interested in a topic that we care about, right? And so one of the things here, like theme that we're going to be going through is like the way that I do this is I'm going to be thinking about generating a really, really giant list from like the top of funnel mechanism here, which is Trigify for this particular workflow. And then through the next step, when we get into Clay, I'm going to take that really, really big list and whittle it down to a much smaller list. So, you know, I don't really care that maybe some of these people aren't my ICP, or maybe these are like surface level, like they don't mean anything. Like the signals are like, cool, if you like to post, like big deal, right? I don't really care at this stage because again, what I'm doing is I'm generating a giant list of potential and I'll whittle it down to more like targeted like audience, right? Okay. So like in this, what you've done so far is you've literally just found an influencer in your space, or I think like 5, you know, try to find 2 or 3, you know, across different topics that matter to you. From there, you've added them to engagement lists. You know, again, you can sort these however you want, but I put, you know, for example, these down in this thought leaders list. And now you're going to be monitoring these every day, right? So Trigify will just update like once a day on like it'll pull their posts like once a day, right? So if you don't see anything initially, like that's why, like just give it like a day or 2 to kind of like grab all the data. The other thing that you can do is not only monitor someone else, but you should also be monitoring yourself, right? So again, you can see I'm actually clicked on myself because as I post on LinkedIn, I also want to do the same thing for myself, pull those people that are engaging, and running them through the same exact workflow that I'll show you through in Clay and in SuperSend. If you don't have like a massive LinkedIn following, this is literally the hack to like, you know, sort of piggyback off of somebody else's following. You know, just be respectful about it, right? Like, just like understand that you're leveraging somebody else's network. So when when you do the outbound, just be thoughtful on how you approach that. Like, it's like a person, right? So just be thoughtful there. Okay, so we've got people that I'm monitoring, got the lists here. The next thing I want to do, like this is kind of it in Trigify. You want to then be able to integrate Trigify with Clay, and so how you do that is you come down here into the integration. You can see here you can go from Trigify directly into a sending tool. I don't think that's the way that you should do it, just because I think there's a lot more work to be done before you actually engage these people. So just kind of keep that in mind. But what we want to do is we want to put these into Clay. And this will be like the last part of this first video, and then we'll jump into the Clay part next. But when I come into this integration, what I'm looking for is the people that I added to engagement over here, like the profile engagement. It will then open this up and it'll look like this. So for example, like here's me. And when I open this up, what I'm looking for is I want to be able to make a connection between Trigify and Clay. And so what we're doing is we're actually generating a webhook in Clay, bringing that webhook from Clay and putting it here. So here's one, again, just as an example. These are 2 different webhooks. I have one webhook going into Clay, or coming from Clay, and I have a webhook that came from Freckle, which is like another platform similar to Clay. I'll probably do a video on that later on. How did I get this here? How did I get this source to add here? How did I add this endpoint? When I went into Clay, I created a table, which we'll get into in the next one. I just want to show you. I created a table that monitors a webhook. And right here on the left side, this pull in data from webhook, this is the data that you want. This is the piece, like the URL that you want. You're going to copy this and you're just going to paste this over into, when you add an endpoint, you're just going to paste it like this. And I won't save this because this is the same exact one that's already connected. And in the next video, we'll dive in like, how did I get that table and that sort of thing. So once you do this integration, you can do like some test data and you can pop it over into Clay, make sure everything is good. But this is pretty much the Trigify part. You're just finding influencers that you care about, pushing their, tracking their engagement, and then pushing their their people that are engaged into that Clay table. And so that's the last piece that I'll show you real quick, which is if I come to here and I look at, for example, like this was a post that I did last week. These are some people that engaged with it one way or the other. And so like here, you can automatically do this. I don't, but like you could automatically do this. But essentially here, like if I wanted to push all these people into the Clay table that's attached, I would just come here and go save to, export to Clay. And then Trigify will actually track what you've exported to Clay. So that's actually really helpful. So you don't like add duplicates, right? And so, just to give you a sense of the scale here, in this thought leader, I have brought over, I think it's like 8,778 potential like prospects that I'm going to whittle down. So we'll go through that in the next step. So that's the Trigify piece. Next, we're going to talk all about Clay. And then from Clay, we're going to talk all about SuperSend and then like sort of mesh that together to kind of get the full workflow and turn this into sort of an automated machine. Okay, we'll see you in the next video.